Hello children, we are continuing with the 11th chapter, the Earth and its Neighbours. In the last video, we learnt about the sky, the most beautiful thing that we have ever seen. Stars, planets, solar system and satellites. I hope all these are clear for you now. Today, we are going to study about our planet Earth. We all know many interesting things about Earth. Earth is the third planet from the Sun in the solar system. It is the only planet on which life exists. It has different types of landscapes, mountains, hills, flowers, animals, plains. These all constitute the Earth and makes it beautiful. But the Earth that we have now was not like this at the time of its origin. It was just like a huge ball of dust and hot gases. This huge ball of gases kept on spinning continuously. And because of the spinning, the outer surface became cooler and it hardened. But the inner surface was still hot and molten. The Earth that we have now is just like a half-boiled egg. Because in a half-boiled egg, the outer white portion will be hard. Hard means compared to the other things it is not too hard, but it's solid. But the inner portion of a half-boiled egg will be in liquid state itself. Same way, the Earth, it has a hard outer covering, but when we go to the deep inner portion of the Earth, it is still hot molten liquid. Let us study about the different layers of Earth. In this picture, you can see the different layers of Earth. This is how the layers of Earth appear. You have the hard portion in the outer area, which is called the crust. Crust is the hard outer portion in the Earth. On the crust, we all live. Plants grow, houses are built. Everything is on the crust. When we go inside or when we go into the inner layer from the crust, we can see that there is a layer called mantle, the second layer, that is the mantle inside the crust. Mantle contains rocks, metals and minerals. It has huge deposits of natural resources. When we go deep inside again, you can see the hot molten layer, just like that half-boiled egg. That hot molten layer is called the core of the Earth. You have the outer core and the inner core. Inner core, it will be too hot. Outer core, it will be a little bit less. So these are the layers of Earth. Crust, which is the outer hard surface. Inside you have mantle, which has rocks, minerals and metals. And inside, deep inside portion, we have the core, which is the hot molten liquid, which consists of hot molten liquid. So though the outer portion of Earth is hard, the inner portion is still hot and molten. This hot molten liquid has too much pressure, and because of this temperature and pressure, this hot liquid tries to push up. Always we know that when there is temperature and pressure, too much temperature and pressure, we always tries to escape from that. So that liquid also tries to push outward through the weak spots of Earth. Everywhere we know that Earth, the outer crust of Earth solidified due to spinning of Earth. And it is not created by anybody and it is not evenly distributed. This outer portion is not evenly thick thick or it is not evenly distributed. So what happens? Some portions the crust will be weak and some portion it will be very thick. It was according to the spinning of the earth, isn't it? So on the weak spots of the earth where there is thin crust, because of this pressure applied by this core, the liquid, hot liquid in the core, the crust break open and what happens? This hot liquid comes out. Have you seen such video or such a picture anywhere? Yes, you have seen it many times and that is called a volcano. The hot liquid in the core pushes through the weak spots of the crust and it breaks open, letting that liquid, hot liquid, gush out. It is pushed out of the earth's crust and that is called a volcano. You can see the picture of a volcano here. So this is how a volcano is formed. Nobody is going and filling that hill or mountain with a hot liquid. It is coming from deep inside the earth. But we cannot see volcanoes everywhere. There are certain places which are prone to volcanoes. It is not seen in the normal areas, especially in hilly areas, okay, mountainous regions. Now there are three types of volcanoes according to the way in which they erupt. Erupt means they come out. First one is active volcano. Active volcano, just as the name suggests, it is active. It erupts regularly. Regularly means not every day. It erupts most often. Okay. Second one is dormant volcano. Dormant volcano, it has not erupted for a long time. For a long time it has not erupted, but in future it can erupt or it may erupt. We cannot predict that dormant volcanoes will not erupt in future. It can happen, but for a long time they have not erupted. That is what we can say. And the last one is extinct volcano. Extinct volcanoes has not erupted for a recorded history and they will never erupt again. That we can confirm and tell. Extinct volcanoes will not erupt again. They have not erupted for a recorded history. That means for so many years they have not erupted. They will not erupt in the future also. So these are the three types of volcanoes that are seen around us. First one is active volcano. It erupts regularly. Second one is dormant volcano. It has not erupted for a long time. And extinct volcano, it has not erupted for recorded history. That means for a very long time it has not erupted. It will not erupt in future. But dormant volcanoes may erupt in future. So this is the basic thing about Earth. Now there are two more interesting things that you can learn. We know that Earth is like a sphere, but it is not a perfect sphere. There is something called axis. Axis is an imaginary line passing through the center of Earth. But when you see the picture, it is very clear that this is a slanting line. It is not a straight line. It is a little bit tilted, isn't it? Yes. The axis of Earth is a little bit tilted. It is not a straight line passing through the center of Earth. Axis is just an imaginary line. Nobody has put a line or nobody has drawn a line through the center of Earth. It is just an imaginary line that passes through the center of Earth and it cuts Earth, the axis cuts Earth at 2 points, 2 ends. That is called the North Pole and the South Pole. Once again, axis is an imaginary line that passes through the center of the Earth. It is a little bit tilted. The axis cuts Earth in 2 points, 2 ends. That is called North Pole and South Pole. Now there is another imaginary line. These are all imaginary lines. There is no actual line like that. There is an imaginary line passing through exactly halfway of Earth. That means cutting Earth into 2 equal halves. You know that nobody can go and cut Earth into 2 equal halves, isn't it? So just an imaginary line that assumes to cut Earth into 2 equal halves. That is called equator. Equator is an imaginary line around the Earth exactly halfway between the poles. That means North Pole and South Pole. Between them, exactly in the half portion, the imaginary line called equator passes. It is 0 degree in the equator, the temperature. Equator divides Earth into two hemispheres. Hemispheres means half of the sphere. So Earth is assumed as a sphere. So half of the Earth is called hemisphere. So the upper portion with North Pole is called Northern Hemisphere and the lower portion with South Pole is called Southern Hemisphere. So equator divides Earth into Northern Hemisphere and Southern Hemisphere, whereas axis touched Earth at North Pole and South Pole. So two more interesting things, isn't it? Axis and equator. So we learnt about some very few things about our planet. There are vast informations about our planet. So very few things we have learned now. Earth is the only planet with life on it. Earth is the third planet from the sun in the solar system. It has different types of structures, that is mountains, hills, plains, plateaus, flowers, animals, trees, everything is there which makes it beautiful. But at the time of the origin it was not like that. It was like a huge ball of dust and hot gases. It kept on spinning and it became like a half boiled egg. The outer portion of the earth is hard, it is called crust. Inside you have mantle which has rocks, minerals and metals, and the deep inside of earth is actually hot molten liquid, consists of hot molten liquid, that is called core of earth. That is the three layers of earth. And the core of the earth, the hot liquid in the core pushes upward, and through the weak spores of earth it comes out as volcano. We learned about the three types of volcano: active, dormant and extinct volcano. Active volcano erupts regularly. Dormant volcano has not erupted for a long time, and extinct volcano has not erupted for recorded history. Then we learned about the two imaginary, just remember that word, okay, imaginary lines that passes through earth. The first one was axis. It is an imaginary line that passes through the center of the earth and cuts earth at two ends, that is North Pole and South Pole. Axis of the earth is a little bit tilted. Then second line is an imaginary line that passes through halfway between the poles, dividing earth into northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere, and this imaginary line is called equator. So I hope you all have understood. Many of the things will be familiar to you also. So some more things, important things are there about Earth that we will learn in the next video. So children, read your textbook. Thank you.